Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We got a great show for you. I'm Harvey Freed. To the right of me, Harry Glanz.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Harvey.
What's going on, Harry? How you doing?
It's all good. Listen, just waiting for spring. I mean, spring is going to come, and people are waiting, and they're going to miss the opportunity because they're not preparing right now.
Oh, boy, you're going to dive right into it.
I feel like it's
I'm
here. I feel
on
like spring
fire.
never left.
Let me introduce that lady over there. She's Becky Alley, top 1% of all originators, and Scotsman Guide, and whatever types of awards are out there. She's got them. She's got them all. And thanks,
Yay.
Becky. Who'd you bring in today?
Oh my gosh, we got a rock star in the house. It's been long coming. I had one conversation with this wonderful soul next to me, and I was like, "You're going to be in my life, whether she knows it or not. Yeah. She's going to be in my life." So we got Brooke Brock, broker owner, BBR Realty. It's such a pleasure to have you on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Welcome.
It is a pleasure to be here.
And coming off of National Women's Day,
Yes.
You are a powerhouse. Love all the things. Part of my voice. I was at the Roxy. It was an 80s band last night. It was a good time. I was in Rochester. It was a good time.
All right, we'll talk about some Metro Detroit, really fun stuff. Of course, it's Saturday. Everyone's out there. Wings took it on the chin last night out in Arizona. That's not feeling so good, but we got lots of good stuff coming in. March Madness is right around the corner, so lots of sports. Always mix it in here with some mortgages and real estate. And, of course, Brooke's going to tell us all about the inventory situation. Let's just dive right into it, Brooke. Give us a little bit of what's going on downriver as we're just, it feels like spring anyways. How do you see the inventory shaping up here for 2024?
It's going to be low, right? So I've been warning people since, I would say, October or November, because we saw a little bit of price dropping October, November. And all my buyers, I'm like, this is the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is when we jump. And they're worried about interest rates. I'm like, let's talk interest rates, because everyone's like, they're so high. No, they're not. They're historically not high.
Isn't that really the hardcore truth? We did a podcast, Becky, Harvey, and I, on Wednesday. We talked about what's the hardcore truth. The hardcore truth is that they're not that high. The hardcore truth is there's a lack of quality inventory on the market, and if you're waiting till spring or summer or whenever, you're going to be waiting with everybody else, and you're going to want to come into the market, and it's going to be costing you money, right?
Tons of money. So, for example, I have a buyer who is so qualified, like one of the best buyers I've ever had. She wants to stay within a certain range. And so I think in December, I said, I want to find you a house within 2 weeks. And she said, why so fast? I'm like, trust me, it's going to blow. And now we're in a situation where we're on our fifth offer. She has appraisal waiver because she's putting so much down on her.
So what's an appraisal waiver?
So a lot of agents don't even know this.
Yes.
So there's a difference between an appraisal gap guarantee and an appraisal waiver. An appraisal waiver, if you're putting a certain percentage down on a home and you have a lender that can figure that out prior to putting the offer, it makes you a stronger offer. And it means there is no appraisal on the house, which is good and bad as long as you don't get crazy, which a lot of people happen to be doing with prices.
Yeah.
So she's going in, starting $15,000 above asking, doing an appraisal waiver, which is huge, free occupancy for a month, and then an escalation clause of up to $30,000 more. And she's not getting the homes.
So here it is, Saturday, March 9th. You put in 5 offers. You're working with this borrower, supremely qualified. Put in 5 offers, escalation clauses, overbid, max this, max that. Still not getting houses. It's only March 9th, everybody. You got to write that down. You got to take note of that. That's the hardcore truth. That's what's going on.
We were talking about this even in December. We were talking that 2024 was going to be a 2020 all over again.
100%.
Because the rates are settling down a little bit, or people are becoming acclimated and okay with the rates of where they're at. And the lack of inventory is really going to be the topic. It's going to continue to be the topic. And therefore, so the ones that are like, I'm going to wait till the housing market crashes, it's not going to crash because there's not enough inventory out there for that to happen.
Houses have been appreciating too.
Yes.
1 in 5 people think it's still going to depreciate. They're wrong.
Yeah.
They're constantly going to appreciate. I think I just read something where it said, if you buy a house January 2024 at $400,000, by 2029, they're anticipating the appreciation of your house to be at $483,000.
Yeah.
I love those numbers.
Yes.
Well, let's go there and wrap that up. The doomsday folks, they're collecting their water and it's going to happen. They're building shelters in their backyard. That's cool.
They got Harvey, they got a bunch of duct tape stored in the basement.
They got a lot of stuff stored up. Hey, I appreciate you guys, and leave a space for
I'll
me.
sell
in
them
that
their
little
land
doomsday
to do a
thing.
bunker.
Yep.
But the world has not come to an end. There's no doubt about that. I do appreciate a good plan, and at least they are planning in advance. But housing is different. It's totally different. And during the housing bubble, many homeowners borrowed heavily against their homes. So we had a couple dynamics that were totally not in today's marketplace. So again, sorry to tell you folks out there, we don't feel like there's going to be a market crash. But then again, we never thought there'd be a pandemic. Let's go there and say, you want a roof over your head. You're sick of paying this landlord. Now would be a great time. And Harry always says, Harry, something you always mention, what are you waiting for? I feel like more and more people aren't waiting. They're just all now competing against each other.
Well, that's what's happening. We're trying to get them off the fence. And again, cautionary tale, we want everybody to be able to afford it, right? We don't
100%.
want you to jump into anything that you cannot afford. So that's why the math is so important. But you can't go through your life rooting against a market that tried and true for the last 70, 80, 90 years, maybe had 4 or 5 blips. Okay, you're rooting against the all-time champ. Okay, that's real estate. Real estate over your lifetime will increase. It's going to go ahead and appreciate. So if you're waiting for the time where it comes down and you're living in a situation where you shouldn't be living in because you're rooting against it, it's like rooting against Mother Nature and Father Time.
Yeah.
They're undefeated. Okay, so
yeah, 4 times in our nation's history, we were in a negative equity position.
So
and
what are
4
we
of those
doing?
times was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
So you're sitting there waking up every day, hoping, wishing, praying that all this is going to crash. In a great movie line, no way to go through life, son. No way to go through life.
Yeah, not at all. And to be honest with you, the rates are a piece of the pie. It's not the whole pie. And I often say, like, if you can afford $1,500 in rent, I can quickly identify what is your price point of how we can get you into a house. But a lot of, when you're talking to these first time home buyers, even, it almost seems like homeownership is this like elusive, mystical creature because they never really had those critical conversations around what does that look like. They think that they have to, like, it's not just my mortgage, you have all these things. Yes, but you do the same thing when you're renting. And I have the privilege of even right now, like for the first time, they are the sweetest 70-year-old people. They're like taking care of my grandma. They are buying a house for the first time at 70 years old. And it is a beautiful thing to watch them go through. This is like technology and everything has changed around them. They've seen so many amazing things, and just signing disclosures is like, it's like that's a process, right? But once we get to the finish table, like for them to finally make that decision and be at that point in their life, and I'm a part of that at 70 years old, or whether you're 20, 30, 40,
right.
If you don't make it whenever you're going to make it, we're going to help you, like whenever your time is.
I think people get in that fight or flight people always talk about, but there's also a freeze.
Yeah.
And money, finances, what you can do with it is scary to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That's why you have to find your trusted advisors to tell you, this is what you need to do. This is your next step. This is how you grow. And if you don't take risk in life, you never grow.
Yeah.
And there is no better way to invest your money and make the biggest profit by owning your own home.
Yeah. And when you can see something that other people can't see for themselves, that's a beautiful thing. But, it's not a selling conversation. You're not having a selling conversation. Mm-hmm. We're having critical conversations of, it's your timeline, not mine. But how are we going to get there? What is the quickest, straightest line we can get you where you're going, but make sure you're comfortable and you feel secure in what you're doing? And that's when you just have conversations about home ownership. So whether it's in 2024, 2029, you call us, you call Brooke, and we are going to come up with a very specific game plan. Because as you knew, if you didn't get that 2-week window, you knew that you're going to be running around with that same buyer, because it happened last year, right? Mm-hmm. That same time, we're in the same moment where if you didn't buy that house before January, it's the lid's off. Midwest was waking up for their long winter's nap. Everyone's coming out of their little holes, and everyone wants to start buying houses again.
Yeah. I go after sellers too now, because we're all preaching to buyers, like, this is what you need to do. But sellers, I just read, in our nation, 67% of all homeowners have 50% or more equity in their home.
That's huge. I like that stat.
True.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is the time. Like, let's downsize. Let's find that condo. Let's get that second home. Let's use that equity.
You have to unlock the golden equity handcuffs and get into the house that fits you, because we talk about this often on the show. A lot of people bought in 2020 just to buy. I'm buying just to buy because I don't have to go to work, and I'm going to buy in the country, and guess what? Now you have to go back to work, and you bought a house that you really didn't love because maybe you didn't even get to see it. You're just standing in line because everyone else wanted to stand in line. You wanted to win, and there's a lot of people that bought houses over the last 3 years that it doesn't suit their needs anymore.
We like that FOMO, that fear of missing out, but we're going to share so much with you here all the way till 10 o'clock. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're going to take your calls here, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to our show, 914. If you're just joining us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We are powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820, Equal Housing Lender. You can call us at Capital Mortgage, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Anytime, we'll hook you up with some great information, some great real estate agents. Of course, Brooke Brock, BBR Realty. I always wanted to know what that's...
What a fun name.
Yeah.
What a fun name.
It's been out there. You guys have been around a long time.
December 21 was when we started our office. But we're putting quite a mark on the industry, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are. I love what you sort of talked about communication stuff this morning. That's my one thing that I really love about it. I just think it's just easier to make a quick call to an agent, introduce yourself, just go over those fine details. And I've noticed some lack of communication is probably costing sellers. You sort of mentioned it, Brooke, but definitely a lack of communication when a house is listed. Sometimes you might miss out on that $5,000 or $10,000 extra. If they don't communicate with you, Brooke, maybe your buyer's willing to pay a little bit more than the other folks.
Yeah. And I think if I had to make like a plea to all agents, right, I would say your job is to be that knight in shining armor and make your seller the hero, right? You're supposed to help them make decisions, but your job is to share everything with them and walk them through the process and educate. And I just feel like I don't care how many offers you received as a listing agent. Your job is to contact every single one and work with them and see what you can do to get more for your client.
Okay. Or maybe the top 5 at least.
Well,
I still would call those people and say, listen, I'm sorry, it just didn't hit the mark. And I would tell them, I get the permission from my seller to discuss what we have. And I'm very open and honest with everybody. And I just tell them, I'm so sorry, but you're so off the mark on this one.
Yeah.
Brooke, I would say that, we were talking at the beginning of the show before we got in here is that, in 21st century parlance, you got to stay in your lane, right? You can't be 100%. A master of everything and a jack of none, right? A jack of all trades, a master of none. That's the proper terminology. You have to know what you know, and you got to stay out of everybody else's lane, right? So you're working hard for your seller, you're working hard for your buyer, you're a realtor, you know real estate ins and outs. That doesn't mean you don't know a little bit about appraisals, doesn't mean you don't know a little bit about interest rates, but your expertise, you are licensed in real estate.
Yes. And only real estate.
So
Confirmed.
So Brooke, let's just talk about real estate with your buyer and seller. I don't, talk about inspections, talk about this. You know what? Those are the people that you have on your team. You give them cards, you tell them to call this person, that person, and then you stay out of it, right?
100%.
Even what you're saying too, though, is pick up your phone.
100%.
Pick up your phone.
And my biggest thing is I get to know my lenders intimately, and then I give them my client several cards. And I said, call them all. Do yourself a favor and see who you mesh with, right? Who can give you the best deals? Go with the ones that do the soft pulls and find out what they can do for you. But people don't even do that. They just say, here's this guy. He's great. Or here's this gal. She just, let them pick.
Yeah, like it's all about that. It's my thing is I'm actually going to put on this whole seminar about just picking up your phone, because that is such a problem. Because even when I'm on, obviously we're the lender, so I'm obviously on the buyer side. When I see offers coming through or my buyers are putting in offers, I need to know when that's happening. And I'm calling the agent, and even me trying to get a hold of the agent to let them know that our buyer is well qualified and everything that's happening. It's an issue even for me. So I got to send emails. I'm sending text messages. I have to do my due diligence as well to make sure that I'm the knight in shining armor as well for my buyer, because I know they're going up of 30 offers. I know they might be going up with 5 offers, and maybe we need down payment assistance maybe, and I have to put that out there where my buyer is just as strong as that cash offer that you're going to take less on because you think you're going to close in 2 weeks. In reality, cash does not mean you're closing in 5 minutes. There's still a 2-week process.
Yeah,
right.
Going there, you have to know your product, okay? So Becky will know a product. We'll get into that probably a little bit later in the show. But if there's a down payment assistance available in that community, what can we do to help that buyer out? You have to know this. And there are so many different programs in this area that you can put people on where they will qualify.
Yep.
So that's our job. Your job, find them the property. Our job is we got to get them into the house.
Yes. And it's no one's business if someone really is using some kind of a down payment assistance program. I mean, it is a point if it's going to affect a timeline, yes. But at the same time, sometimes buyers don't need it, but why not take advantage of it? And that is my job to make sure that they are lining their pockets with as much money as they humanly possibly can get should they qualify. Some of the stuff you don't even have to be a first-time home buyer, but people don't know because they want to do the cookie cutter, vanilla kind of stuff. And I know you see that all the time because we also get, when it's falling apart, I mean, at least 4 or 5 deals a month come on my desk because they're walking around with this piece of paper that never really mattered anyway. So that's why as agents, it's so important to pick up the phone and have these conversations.
One of those down payment assistance programs, Becky, you nailed it. We don't even have to take the money, but you get the lower interest rate. So there it is right there.
Yep.
And it's only a couple days extra in underwriting. These transactions are still closing about 25 to 35 days.
Yep.
Great point on the Michigan loan, Michigan State Housing Development Authority. Right, they'll offer you $10,000 at 6 5/8 in today's market. But if you don't want the $10,000, you can get 6% even, and that is far below the current market. So that's awesome stuff out there. 248-539-9797. There were some numbers that came out. Unemployment was actually, there's a lot of jobs added. So that plays a huge role in what's going on in the world of interest rates. So again, not always our friend. People are working. We like that. But the unemployment rate, again, increased just a little bit in February from January, just a 0.2. So it's 3.9%. People are working out there. They're actually looking for an extra side hustle, too, because real estate's costing a lot of money now. And we'll talk a little bit about that even, too, later in the show. Now, the money doesn't actually qualify you if you just picked up a part-time job, but you can use that money for your savings, and that's the key part about it. 248-539-9797. If you're a first-time home buyer, if you've done this before, give us a call. We got some open lines here.
I'm excited. I mean, anyone really that's out there looking at houses right now, you just give us a call. I want to even know what people's experiences are, because we are yet to get into the thick of it. So come in the next 2 months, it's going to be frustrating for buyers. It's going to be frustrating for first-time home buyers. It's going to be frustrating for step-up buyers, even the individuals that have cash. I mean, I have a buyer that's up a million price point, right? That is a very small niche of people in a certain price point, and they are losing offers to cash at that price point. So there is money circulating around where it's going to be very difficult. So even in the early spring, we're not even in the thick of it. In higher price points, people are going hard at these properties right now, and you see it every single solitary day.
Yeah, and the old saying "cash is king" isn't necessarily true anymore.
I love that. I talk about that often.
So, if you can get a mortgage in 14 days or less, if you're that qualified, I mean, cash deals 14 days.
Yeah.
So,
no question.
And that's our job to educate even the listing agent sometimes on that when they're discussing it. It literally takes 2 minutes to pick up a phone and call an agent and say, what does your seller want?
Right.
Yes.
And Brooke, does it really matter?
Reverse engineer it.
Does it really matter if you can close in 14 days or 50? Does it matter? People don't really care about that.
No, but it's crazy because there's so many different mortgages, right? So many different loan types. And there's still agents just obsessed with how much someone's putting down. And I'm like, stop with it.
That's old mentality, though.
Call the lender if you're that worried about it. Like, I attach the lenders to the emails with the offer that goes in. Contact the lender.
Yeah.
They'll call you and talk to you.
Someone
about
could have 20%. They could buy the house cash if they want, but it's up to them and their financial, what they're looking for, their profile, what they want to do. And the seller, if I'm closing and we're well qualified and I can close that in 10 business days, or maybe it's going to take 30, depending on what everyone's doing. Either way, that is still money at the table. That is getting the seller the top dollar.
We ran into a situation. We run into this rarely, but somebody took a cash offer at $10,000, $10,000 less than somebody putting 20% down on a mortgage because they wrote, I won't say that who, but can you imagine taking $10,000? That's just bad advice.
Yeah.
Why? Because you can't close quicker.
No.
I mean, and what's the reason you need to close quicker? You're going to stay in that house anyways. You're going to have 30, 60-day occupancy anyways. You just lost $10,000. I don't know about you. $10,000 is a lot of money.
Can we talk? I want to talk about that. The timing of it, right? There is such a hurry up and wait mentality where it's we have, even if the contract date is, a month away from now, right? We're clear to close, and everyone's like, we got to close right now. We got to close in 24 hours. No one has any patience. And are you seeing that as well? Where it's just such this rush to hurry up and close, even though if they're getting occupancy, it's it's putting an unnecessary strain on the title partners,
100%.
on everybody.
And I try to explain to everyone in the very beginning, education is so important, right? They don't even realize how many hands touch their deal. And I don't know every hand that touches the deal. We trust our partners to get it done and get it done in a timely manner.
That's it.
Yeah.
So somebody near and dear to me, Brooke, you're going to like it. Somebody near and dear to me 2 days ago on March 7th said to me, is this loan clear to close? I said, well, when's the closing date? They said March 22nd. I said, we've got over 2 weeks. I mean, what are you killing me for a March 22nd date? It's in underwriting right now. It's going to be clear on Monday. What are you worried about a March 22nd date for?
By the way, Harry,
can you believe that happens,
it will be
Harry?
clear to close this week.
You
And
believe that?
Harry, I said to my clients,
Can
I'm
you
like, did you
believe
guys
somebody
want
said that to me?
I did it here.
I mean, yes,
I
I
said
believe
to them,
it. I
I
hear
said,
you.
do you want to close any sooner? And they said, no, Harvey, we've already paid the month of March rent. And yeah, we're good with the 22nd. The insurance is already dated then. Gives us a chance to breathe, start packing our bags, get our thoughts
Yeah.
together. So
It's the conversation though, piece.
Yeah.
It's like, so if I get
Right.
a contract, I'm reaching out to agents and saying, hey, I notice this contract is a little tight, or I'm noticing this contract is a little bit out. If I can close earlier, is everyone in agreement with that? Like I got to take the temperature in the room all
Well,
the
the
time.
contract does say on or before.
On or before,
Correct.
yes,
Right?
yeah.
But we live in a society where everybody wants everything now.
Yes, I call it the Oompa Loompa thing, right? I want an Oompa Loompa and I want it right now.
Right,
Veruca Salt,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but you have to take the temperature constantly. So when I'm having these conversations, like, yes, Becky, we want to close early, or no, my seller is not ready. We have title issues. We have things. I'm like, okay. So then I know how to prioritize. Yeah, I have to prioritize everything in my pipeline, but it's all about having those critical conversations that I just call me. I'm going to call you. I'm going to hit you up on the email, but then all of a sudden you're like, no, we're good. And then we're like, why aren't we closing in 5 minutes? Well, let me know. Well, I can close you in 5 minutes. Just, you got to have that conversation, and people just don't want to talk.
We're hand holders. We don't have to be all the time, but that's our job.
Yeah.
Well,
I
there are
don't
a lot
mind
of
doing
moving
it.
Parts, a lot of moving parts on the
Yeah.
transaction, and oftentimes, Becky will get one, Harvey will get one. They want to close Thursday or Friday, and then they're push. Thursday or Friday comes, oop, can't close till Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is. It's part of the business. What
Yeah.
we like doing, it's the action. It's how you set it up and
It's
set
never
those
boring.
expectations. Like it. That's
It's
why
the
you're
same,
in it.
but
And
it's
then-
always different.
The same people are like, well, I can't take that day off work. Yes, you can.
it's only going to be an hour and a half. You don't need the whole day off.
If-
All right.
if
Well,
that.
is it a good time to buy a house? Well, data, statistics, all that stuff. Percentage of responders who said it's a good time to buy increased. That's right, folks. It's not going down. It's going up. More and more people want
We'll
to buy
talk
their
about
own
that,
home.
yeah.
When we come back here, find enough. 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Welcome back to the show. It's 9:28. If you're just joining us, again, we bring you the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show in our 24th year. If you want to get hooked up with a great mortgage, call 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's 1-800-569-7283. We bring in all the great real estate agents. You can call us. We can set you up. Again, we're really laid back about it. We get you set up with these great people like Brooke. Bring lots of energy. Thanks for the compliments, Brooke. I didn't realize all this stuff.
That's how I come back again.
Oh, you know what to say.
Yeah, Harvey, she's smart. She's here now. She wants to come back again, so she's working for the next time.
I love that.
That's what you do.
Listen,
Next time I bring food.
Brooke, before the last break, I was talking about the analysis, the statistics. The data is telling us that more and more families are saying it's a great time to buy. Well, it's the same true with selling a house. No doubt about that. So again, if you're selling your house and you're going to get highest and best, you might be buying a house and they're going to want highest and best from you. You're going to turn over those dollars right back into your next house.
It's a wash. It's always the same. In a seller's market or a buyer's market, you're still going to be that reverse role. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. I mean, and when we talk about like, what's a great time to buy? It's a great time to buy when it works for you. It's a great time to sell when it works for you. But you also can't just sit on the sidelines and be complacent. And like you said, the freeze mentality, because you're waiting for something better to come along because you're already missing those opportunities. And, the buyers right now, if your hat is not already in the ring, you're losing. Because when those moments happen, because people react after, right? Like, oh, the stock market went down, so now I'm going to buy. Well, it's already happened. Now you're lost. You've missed that opportunity. You have to be constantly working towards that goal and have that opportunity. Know what your highest is, know what your best is, and we're going to go after it with someone like Brooke who knows people. She knows her craft, right? She stays in her lane like we stay in her lane, but she's dangerous enough because she knows just enough about mortgages, but she stays where she's going to be, but she also knows how to navigate that in the conversations, and that's why you are so respected in the community. That's why people do come to you for advice, and that's why you are like on your panels and the things like that, because you're real and there's not enough of that voice out there. And, I know our jobs here, we're constantly evolving with real estate. Real estate is always changing, but it's the same at the same time. And you have to have your ears and boots on the ground. And why would you want to work with someone that isn't in the mud with you, in the trenches, fighting for you? I wouldn't.
Well, she's giving the hardcore truth out there. You're telling people, listen, maybe this isn't the house for you. Maybe we should wait. But when we find one, we're going to have to go in over asking. We're going to have to put in that appraisal contingency or a waiver. But the hardcore truth is this, Brooke. Rates aren't coming down. People want to believe rates are coming down. They're not. They're at the highest since January 1st, 2024. Rates have gone up all year long. The Federal Reserve met this, testifying. Jerome Powell was on the Hill testifying, saying, hey, listen, I am not lowering interest rates. It's not going to happen. We have to see inflation get to a certain point. He's telling everybody here, it's documented, everybody out there, look, not going to lower rates anytime soon. And that's the Fed funds rate. That's what everything is predicated on. Credit card interest still between 18 and 22 and even higher. So if you have equity in your home, and we're talking about buying homes, we're also talking about financial stability. If you have sat on equity because your home appreciated 10% a year for the last 4 or 5 years, you're sitting on some equity, but you're also paying 18 to 22, 25% on credit cards. Why not use a little bit of that equity, pay those cards off, and rip up 2 out of those 3 credit cards? That is a smart financial move. And the hardcore truth is, again, rates are not coming down to 5.5 by the end of the summer. It won't happen, and I'll take all comers.
So just peeling back the curtain, right? So like some of the refinance transactions that we have, right? The truth is that people are sitting on the debts and they're living off their credit cards because the idea of, well, I have 3% on my mortgage, so I don't want to lock that up, but I'm going to pay this 20, 18%. I'm going to have everything, and every car you want to get right now, it's $1,000.
Yep.
You're going to McDonald's, it's like $20 for like whatever. Everything is high. And so when we're having these conversations, you have to forget about the mortgage rate. If you're going to pay 20% on a credit card, why would you not be willing to pay 6.99 on a mortgage and then turn around and save $1,000 a month? I have someone right now, we're closing $1,000 a month. I saved them because they've been living on their credit cards the last 3 years because they never really recovered from COVID.
Because they're walking around telling everybody they got 3.5% on their mortgage, but they're not telling everybody they've got 20.
They can't afford their life.
They've got $20,000 on credit card debt at 18 to 25%.
Yes.
That's what they're not telling people.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what we see. And so when you have the conversations and you really we do home equity lines of credit as well. Like whatever it is that's going to help you sustain your life, we have to reset that baseline. But it's not using your home as a piggy bank. But this is something that is tangible. You can can make it work for you. And that's a part of home ownership, because when you're renting, you don't have that. Like, the difference between renting and owning your own home is every time you make a payment, that is money in your pocket, whether you see it or not. And if you put $50,000 on the table in front of you, you're going to take it. And that's what home ownership is.
Hey, Brooke, this is the part of the show where you're all the fruits of your labor. Now, people have this money now sitting there, and they can use it. There's a couple different steps along the way. And I think some of the new, even lenders out there, they haven't experienced this. And again, we've done this for a long time. So as these guys are telling you, go ahead and consolidate your debt. Take that higher rate, which ultimately saves you a lot of money. Then, if the rates do come down at the end of this year, 2 years from now, whenever that happens, you can drop your years on your mortgage. You can refinance and drop your years on your mortgage. And that's the key. When you do the math and go from a 30-year mortgage and amortization of 30 years, you're in your 27th, your 26th year, and you drop that down to a 15-year, it's huge. The savings all of a sudden now become hundreds of thousands of dollars.
How about taking
That's
that
a smart
credit card
play.
debt and that money you're saving from paying that extra interest rate, and I don't know, attach a couple $100 extra on your mortgage every month.
$500 extra, right? Now you're at $6,000, right?
Mind explosions. But like but you have to also, just the average person, we don't have, it's not taught financial literacy. It's not taught in schools. And, credit is also this mystical creature that people don't understand, right? It's hard to get. It's hard to get back once you lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. And if you mess it up, it's hard to get it right back. And so when we're seeing these, this credit stuff, we spend a lot of time with, Harvey, myself, Lisa, we spend a lot of time with individuals fixing their credit. We do it behind the scenes. We help them navigate that, because no one taught anybody about credit.
It's like losing weight.
Yeah.
If you're not ready to change, you're never going to do it.
Yes.
And once you do consolidate your debt, if you don't change the way you were living above your means,
yes,
you're going to be right back in the same boat.
We are the Ozempic for your money. Okay, that's us. Just call Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll get you a little Ozempic on your mortgage.
Are you taking those shots?
No, I'm not.
What are you doing? I mean, what are we doing here?
Speaking about cash out refinance, sure enough, Freddie Mac makes an announcement yesterday. We're like, why? What's the deal with this? But Fannie still allows it. So non-owner occupying borrower. So again, mom and dad might have co-signed for your mortgage before. On a Freddie Mac loan, they can't do that if you're doing a cash out refinance moving forward. But Fannie Mae still does, FHA. Those are still available. But interesting to see a new change
because
they're
seeing that people are overextending themselves.
Exactly.
And that's what all these rules are about is, and again, we're going back to what we talked about in the first segment, the housing crisis, the things like that, right? There was bad loans happening during that time, and everything that has happened going forward, the underwriting guidelines, the regulations, people being licensed, it was the best thing that's ever happened, because you got rid of the people that were doing, they were being disingenuous. So now all the things are going forward is to ensure that people are in a better financial position going forward. So what Freddie Mac is saying is that, okay, if you want to pull equity out of your home, because everyone's gearing up for this refinance happening because of all the talk about the interest rates, you have to be in the home to occupying it to be on the mortgage to pull equity out of the home, because if you don't, they don't want people jumping in, and now you're overextending because you have someone pulling equity out of their home. Now they have a mortgage they can't afford because they use someone else's income. And that's really what it's about. It's all about making sure you have a house that you can afford, that you are within the alignment of your financial status.
Right. Definitely your debts are at all-time highs now, but your equity's at an all-time high. Do the right thing, call the right people, get the right advice. Good advice is hard to find, Harry, but we got some great advice here because we've been around the experience. I'll tell you that. 248-539-9797. I'm going to throw this out there too, Becky, as we're talking about down payment assistance. We've got the Chenoa program. We've got the National Faith. We've got the Mishta loans. There's city-wide programs at different cities across the area, but you got to be prepared. Again, people are still doing that thing now, that last-minute shuffle.
That thing.
Hey, that thing is, hey, I'm thinking about being a homeowner this week, and they don't have their ducks in a row. And again, we talk about it, whether fixing credit or fixing that down payment situation. And I'll just throw it out there too. Besides the down payment assistance programs, we still have the home funded program. So again, there's some unique programs out there. Get aligned with the right lenders out there, and we'll show you how to do it. The home funded program, you guys were talking about it at the bridal show recently. It's a campaign you can set up for yourself. It's where you can start having your family and your friends and all those people you're going to invite to your wedding and anything. You can just set it up.
Birthday,
you don't have
whatever.
to be getting married in order to use the home funded program back.
Yes, it is. It's taking the gifting to the next level, because a lot of times it's not the payment, as you know, it is the funds for closing. Where is it coming from? People are not keeping their money in the bank. It's a problem. So Everything we're doing is to structure it around someone to help them get to where they're going. So the Home Fund It program allows anybody to gift you money. You set up an online campaign. It's on socials. Every time you share it on social media, we give you $10. The point is that we want to get you up to the point where we can give you $2,000. We match dollar for dollar up to $2,000. So if you are in a position where you know someone's going to give you a gift, let's just say mom or dad's going to give you $5,000. Well, if you go with us, now you have $7,000 because we're going to match it up to $2,000. This is exclusive. Nobody else has it because your traditional gifting is mainly family members, and people don't want to get in. They don't want to let you into their finances.
That's brilliant.
Yes, it is life-changing, game-changing.
Like, don't have a bridal shower.
Yes.
Because you don't need china. You need a home.
Yeah, be like, hey, what's up with that toaster I gave you? No, hey, what's up with that house I contributed to?
100%.
It is a beautiful thing that we are allowed, and we're changing people's lives every single day with these amazing exclusive programs. Like I said, nobody else has this program. And when it starts hitting social media, and then you as an agent, you can also contribute towards your buyers. You can be like, okay, well, Becky's going to do $2,000. I can now match up dollar for dollar up to $500. And this is how we're going to continue to change people's lives through home ownership, one house at a time, one loan at a time. And I love it.
I love that.
Every little bit helps when you're looking to buy a house. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time coming up with that down payment money. You know, you're paying rent. You're paying $1,500 a month rent. You can make that payment no problem. You just don't have the down payment to come up with. This is the best way, the easiest way, and the nicest way that you could help somebody buy a house. So we did the math, right? You have 100 people at your wedding. They give $50 a piece. That's $5,000. We'll contribute another $2,000.
Yep. And the money does not expire either. So it sits there. So even if your plan is 5 years from now, you can set someone up on a home funded account just as much as I can, and that money is sitting there, accumulating, going over it, and then when they're ready to buy that house, it is there, and therefore, whether it's now or 5 years from now, it doesn't expire. You can just stay there.
Oh, I love that program. 248-539-9797. We're getting close to a break here. And when we come back, we want to hear from you. We're going to talk a little bit about if you're in a Chapter 13, a Chapter 7. Maybe some of you people ran into some rough things. We'll fix that up for you and tell you how you could become a homeowner. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, again, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's where you can find us. I'm Harvey Freed, Harry Glanz, Becky Alley, 248-569-7283, 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's easy to remember. The best mortgage banker. I know Mark's in the office this morning. I'm going over there, and we've got a lot of families that get a little time now. They're not on the golf course area like last week out here in Michigan, but again, early spring. Jay's over here, of course. Brooke, you brought the man here, and we'll talk a little bit maybe in the future, Jay, about some engineering things that you got going on. Pretty interesting stuff.
Absolutely.
There he is. All right. We had to hear from you a little bit, Jay. If you're thinking about buying a house, definitely want to give us a call here. We got last 15 minutes. Brooke, let's go before we go into another subject here. You've got a listing we'll talk about real quick. Just tell us a little bit about that particular home.
I actually have two that I am not a chaser. I'm not an ambulance chaser, right? I'm not a used car salesman. So all of my business is referral based, which I love because it just gives me really great clients and they listen.
Why do used car salesmen get such a bad rap?
They do though. They do though. And I think it's not there. I know some really great used car salesmen. I truly do.
Thank you. You guys can call me later.
And car salesmen in general, I do. But they kind of, because people think it's just for the money. So in a short story, it's not even to do with my listings. My dad has sold real estate for 47 years. My grandpa was a broker before him. My mom did title work. And I remember, so we were in it in, 80s and 90s. We rode the hard parts, of the industry. And my dad always told me, it's not about the money. Don't ever depend on a check. It's all about the people. Mm-hmm. And that has influenced me throughout my whole life because every industry is people-based. And if you don't realize that and get away from the technology, you're going to flounder. Like it's all about the people. So I never do depend on it. Mm-hmm. And I've been blessed because of that. So the two I have, one is on Chelsea Street in Trenton. This guy tore the house down to studs and completely redid it, put new beams in. It is just an impeccable house, but it was for sale by owner and it wasn't moving. So here we are live on the market. So it is at a higher price point and then we do out ourselves a little bit on that one, but it's a great home. And then there's another one in Trenton that's a probate. So I do quite a few probate cases, which I enjoy. I really like helping seniors. I really like dealing with probate and estates. And I think if there's anything I can get through to any listener today, you need to talk to an attorney to get your estates in order. You need to have a quitclaim deed or a ladybird deed or some type of.
Yes, or get your family. I love that. Get your family members on there that you want to leave the house to.
Yes.
These wills and estate planning is so important nowadays.
Yeah, because it's a mess. Mm-hmm. It's like you either plan, you plan ahead or you're going to leave your family in chaos. And it's not intentionally, but it just nobody talks about it. Like you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
And I know what I don't know, but I also know who knows what I don't know, and I'm going to go to that person. And that's what makes me educated.
100%.
That makes me educated, is knowing who's going to get the answers to the test that I need.
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, right?
Yeah. Yes. So definitely I'm all about that estate planning, the ladybird deed. And people think that title companies prepare the ladybird deed, and they cannot. It has to be by an attorney. They have to prepare that for you. So they
don't usually do quitclaim deeds anymore either.
Right.
They want the attorneys to do it. So it doesn't take much.
Well, that's a great point.
$30 to record.
If you're going to go ahead and talk about ladybird deeds and quitclaim deeds, and you're going to go ahead how you're going to have it joint tenants with rights of survivorship, tenants in common, there are things you need to talk to a professional. You need to talk to an attorney, a real estate attorney. They'll put you on the right path. You can get guidance from a title company. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And if you're in the industry, you know who to go to. It's for the people that are not in the industry.
Yes.
Okay, if you're not in the industry, you have to be able to go ahead and be able to call somebody, and they could put you down the right path. And that's very, very important. Like you said, you deal with probate. Once it gets in probate, it's not an overnight fix. It takes how long? How long is it taking right now?
Oh, if for Wayne County, it could take up to 2 months to get a case heard just on an approval of a purchase agreement.
Yeah.
And
I have one right now.
Another 2 months after that.
Oh, it's a while.
Right. You have to.
I have a loan that I've had cleared since December, and we're ready to go. And just now we're closing at the end of this month because I finally got everything wrapped up.
I got a trick. I'll tell you later.
Okay, tell me. Tell me.
I like that.
Because I will deal with whoever I got to deal with on that one. But I was out of my hands.
Harry threw it out there, different ways to hold the title. So sure enough, got that call this week where two gentlemen had bought a house together. It was a great idea, an investment. and they had rented it for a day. Then sure enough, he moved, the other guy moved in, the other guy gets divorced, and now one guy wants to sell and the other person doesn't. It can get ugly really quickly. You've got to do the title up front. You've got to have real conversations. And again, meeting a real estate attorney a few weeks ago, he always says to me this, and I loved it. He's like, Harvey, people need me ahead of time, but truthfully, he doesn't get the call till after the problem's already been created. Then it's just a lot of money to fix.
Well, it's even on the lending side, right? If you think about it, we are called in after they fell in love with the house, right? They talk to the agent first, when in reality, we are the first phone call because no one can do anything.
I will,
in most cases.
all these Facebook posts. Anyone know a good agent? And there's like 1,000 agents. And I have this meme of Johnny Depp running from Pirates of the Caribbean with all the pirates behind him. And I have arrows pointing to all the agents. And I'm like, me,
Yeah.
You don't need an agent. You need a lender. Mm-hmm. You need to get your ducks in a row first, then talk to an agent. And you need to interview several lenders and several agents. That's just the way it is. Don't go with your first.
And don't be afraid
Unless it's me, because I'm amazing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Let's open up Pandora's box, because I haven't done it in a while. Pandora's box goes something like this. Right, here we go. Property values. Appraisals, property values. We've had a very long string of excellent appraisals. Property values are in. You're seeing the rise in that tide that where values are going up. So when somebody buys a house, there's usually a lot of comp, 3 comps, 4 comps, 5 comps. What do we do now? We're coming into spring. You know what's happening. You already said you're working with a buyer, 5 offers, nothing accepted, because you're going over asking $20,000, $30,000, and that's going to happen. So now this spring, lenders out there, public service announcement number 1 for the day, you're going to come in where property values on very good appraisers are going to bring them in at, they're just going to bring them at what they bring them in at. What do we do then, Harvey?
Well, it's June. Every June of every year,
Right.
It happens, June, July, because you're dealing with people are going to the moon on these prices.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with winter sales, and it's not catching up. So that it does happen every year between June and July. You're going to see a little bit light of appraisals.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what happens is we have an appraisal rebuttal system where we go ahead and we can actually go ahead and challenge that value. Now, does it happen all the time where we get what we want? Absolutely not. It doesn't. Maybe 1 out of 10 times. Okay, but at least we can do that. We're educated enough to go ahead and do it, go through the proper channels. But everybody out there, it's going to run into that situation because of the plethora of buyers out there and the lack of inventory, and all these over asking offers are coming in, Brooke.
See, I'll take the over on that real quick. We are like the rebuttal process. Like Harry and I, we get it done. We go in it. It's got to be within reason, though. We're not here to make someone overpay for a house. But when you have a good appraisal, when you don't, right? Or there's things that you can be like, hey, maybe we could have looked at this. So when we're in a situation like that, I feel like we have a really good process to get that done. So
This is one of my biggest complaints.
Yeah.
In the industry. If you're a listing agent, you better do your due diligence. Anything from the city to the comps. And if you can't find the comps, you better call an appraiser and say, what comps would you use on this home?
Yeah.
So you price it correctly. And then your job is, when these crazy offers come in, to educate your buyer that that's not necessarily going to happen.
And you can't be shocked, right? You as a realtor, you can't be shocked if the appraisal comes in $20,000 less than what you've accepted on the offer.
And that's what I can't even stand the comps at this point, because you don't know what the house actually appraised for.
I'm loving her. I love that.
Brooke, I don't mind paying $25,000, $30,000 after I've already had 5 or multiple offers not accepted. And again, if it has that finished basement, I see value in it. Then your education comes into play.
And I tell people, if the house has 80% of what you desire, you need to jump on that house, because 20% can be changed. You're never going to find the perfect home. Mm-hmm. And if you're ready to go, we're going full bore. That's just what it is.
Well, if it checks 8 or 9 boxes out of the 10, you're rolling.
100%. But I just... When a seller says, well, I want to sell this house because it sold for this much. Okay, well, that house might not have appraised for that much. People brought cash above and beyond, and that's what you're seeing.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me the most.
Yes. That was like, you just took us to church, Brooke.
You just preach. Okay.
Sometimes
Seriously.
that house has that other desirable features. Let's say a built-in pool. Let's say a finished basement. Let's say the kitchen's already been redone. And maybe your house hasn't been spruced up over the last 10 years. So you got to sort of feel that out a little bit. You might not get that same offer as the guy down the street.
Sure. And the buyer's going to see what they want out of it, and they're going to pay what they want out of it. But in all actuality, is the appraiser is going to dictate the price, no matter what the buyer or seller wants to do.
Yeah.
But I had two examples. The one I have on Hillcrest that's being listed right now has $90,000 of brand new solar panels on it because they were told
Do
solar
they work?
Yes, in
Okay,
Michigan,
I
just not as
need
well
to
as
know that.
California.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they were told it was going to make an extreme value to their home.
Oh, boy.
Not in Michigan.
Yeah.
So yeah, your bills are cut, like your heating bills are amazing, but a buyer has to see the value in that because an appraiser is not necessarily going to add too much value. Just like the guy who did a fully furnished basement, heated floors, egress windows, full kitchen, gorgeous. And the appraiser's like, which floor would you like me to pick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't use it. So the guy at the expo told him, yeah, you can spend $80,000 on your basement. That's great. Not
But
unless
that's
you
for you.
Yeah,
That's a
100%
lifestyle.
for
That's
you.
for
Yes.
you. Yeah, Mike Tomchak, Paramount Appraisal. Shout out to Mike. He's very objective. If you want a great appraiser, if you're doing estate appraisal, if you're doing divorce, family law, appraisal, Mike Tomchak, he's the guy. Why is he a guy? Or appraisers that tell they will tell you the hardcore truth. They're going to tell you before you go in there. You can hire these guys before you even do a walkthrough. I mean, you can do it,
Yeah.
and we relish those relationships, and we want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. So. A little shout out for him. There's plenty of them out there. We can give you the names of them.
Yeah, we're talking about price versus value, right? So you're locking in the price of the home, but the appraiser is going to dictate the value. So if I want to win an offer, I don't care what the value is because I agreed to pay that price. But you as a buyer have to understand that that's what's coming in at. And then the sellers, like you're saying, to break it down, they have to understand that that's not just because that whole house went for $30,000 over asking. It might have had 10 most of the amazing, beautiful things that you've never seen in another house, and that's what dictated that price.
Right.
It didn't also the value, right? But as lenders, we lend on value. Is value. So if you're paying $400,000 for a house and it comes in at $350,000, well, then we are lending based off of a $350,000 value, and now you're bringing that $50,000 over asking because
If you agree to it.
if you agree to
Right.
it, correct? Yeah. So you have to be with people that understand the math, the process, and make sure that you're educated because so many people don't know what is happening to them. They bought 2-3 houses and they didn't work with me the first 2 times, and this is the first time they understand what's happening.
Right.
Because no one slows it down. Even though we're moving very fast, we talk very doctorese sometimes, mortgagees, but you have to be with people that understand. And when you're with Brooke Brocken here, BBR Realty, she understands, she's empathetic, but she's going to get you the best price, and she's also going to make sure you're handheld as a buyer. And that's why you are the best at what you do.
Thank you.
Brooke, thanks for coming in and doing our show. It's in your blood for sure. Your family's been around doing this stuff for a long time. She can negotiate. She'll communicate with you, get you top dollar for that listing for that house you want to sell. If you're working with her as a buyer, I mean, just the knowledge, and that's what you're talking about, sharing knowledge. Thanks for coming in. We're going to see you again for sure, Brooke.
Yeah.
All right, BBR Realty Downriver. Of course, we always have all the great agents in here, and we're up against the end of the show. We got Pat Caputo coming up with sports. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. And be sure to call Capital Mortgage Funny at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. For Harry Glanz, Becky Alley, I'm Harvey Freed. See you next Saturday.